Hello again. I'm Zenri Zeron, the Gae-Mes, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm playing Socially Awkward again by Manchimat. And yeah, let's just get started. Okay, with that, you grab the handle on the door and slowly pull it open. Monday, 8:51 a.m. With the squeaking of the door, the whole class, including your teacher, all moved their heads to your direction. You're very late. Sorry. We've already done the introduction, so you come forward and introduce yourself to the whole class. Ugh. With your hand behind your neck, you walk to the center in front of your classmates who are either already on their phones or waiting on you. Henry, Sir Cap. A little louder. Louder. Henry, Sir Cap. Much better. I'll be your teacher for history this semester, Mr. Sir Cap. Please take your seat. You take a few steps to the side, leaving the teacher to continue talking about the school policies and regulations. Surveying around the classroom, a familiar outreaching hand caught your attention. Hey! You run up to John, who gestures an empty seat next to him. You take the seat and place a bag on the left side of the table. So, how was your day with Tom? It wasn't a date, you creep. So, eating together with cake isn't a date. Exactly. Then what do you call it? John grins wider. Breakfast. Yeah, right. Course I'm right. It's early in the morning and we were eating bread. With frosting all over. Typical breakfast. Right. So, what did you two talk about? My dad? Oh. John immediately looks away and uninterested. That's a first. It's called respecting your elders, Henry. You don't have any respect. Oh dear Zenri, my respect is special, one you'll never get. He places the tip of his fingers onto his lips in a feminine coy motion. Are you hitting on my dad? Son, I'm disappointed in you. You're sick. Rest assured that I have no interest in your daddy fetish, Zenri. You're insufferable. Ow. Two chalks simultaneously hit you and John on the head. For such a cliche thing, you knew who to look at. Have a little respect for your teachers while you're under their presence. He wasn't looking directly at you or John, but some of your classmates. They are rubbing their heads from the chalk assault. Did he snipe 6 students at once? That was cool. Nah, that was surprising to say the least. But we'll continue this discussion at lunchtime. Ugh, Henry, talking about your daddy fetish is disgusting. Not that! Now the teacher's really looking at you. Monday, 12:01 p.m. The cafeteria is just a plain. The cafeteria. It's just as plain as your high school's. Plastic bench seats and tables are bolted to the floor. The questionable stainless steel rails are keeping the animals from cutting in line. The unbearable chatter is echoing off the walls. You and John are lining up as neither of you brought their own lunch. What you getting? I haven't decided yet. There's peas. You love peas? Soft ones. I bet these aren't even cooked. What about these mushy avocados? Blech. Maybe lasagna? Nah, don't feel like getting a stomach ache. How about some ham and cheese? Where? I don't see any ham and cheese. Behind you, you dork. Oh, hey Tom. Hey Zenry. Ugh. Got us some sandwiches. For free? Yes. I got free ham and cheese subs. Don't mind if I do. John shoves his hand into Tom's sandwich bag and pulls out a sub sandwich. Yoink! Let's go find a seat, Zenry. Huh? John grabs your hand and pulls you out of the rails to an empty seat on the corner. Yum, yum. Great sandwich, Tom. Don't talk when your mouth's full. Tom takes another bite of his sub. Great sandwich, Tom. Where'd you get it? At Misty's. Misty's? Yeah, it's a bakery we're at. Oh, great sandwich, right? Here, try the spicy cheese tuna sub. Tom grips apart a piece of his sandwich and hands it to you. You like it? You can have the rest. Tom placed the rest of the tuna sandwich to your side. Oh. I'm already full. What should I do? Not decline. Give it to John. Would be rude. Just stuff yourself like a pig. There's only one thing to do. Your friends are staring at you like a giraffe being chased by a speeding crocodile. Also, very sorry for people who hate eating noises. I'm really sorry. Munching, crunching, grinding, chewing, whatever methods you can do to mash up the tuna into paste when technically it's already paste. More chewing, more numbing, more chewing. After lunch, Tom said he'll meet you at the front gate. Afternoon classes were just like the morning classes. The teachers would come in for the introductions and each would explain about the subject they'll be teaching for the semester. With a full stomach, emotional burden lifted, and with no teacher around who wouldn't take a nap at this point. You got a text message. Wonder who could it be? Swipe, swipe, swipe. Tom? Hey, Zenry. Sap. Just checking if it's still your number. I don't know anyone named Zenry. I'm sure this is you, Zenry. This is Eduardo. Oh, I'm sorry, Eduardo. Guess I made a mistake. I thought the guy who woke up in class received my text. Huh? You swing your head to the hallway window for a lion. And there he was, waving his phone at you. You waved back and began to stand, but he gestured for you to stay put as he moved along. I was just making sure it was still your number. Still got some classes to attend. Oh, okay. Also don't sleep in class. Pouty emoji. Hey, don't forget, 4:30 at the front gate. Yes, mom. Shaking head emoji. Monday, 4:30 p.m. Phew, first day of class done. 149 days to go. What's with the counting? If you start counting, time grows longer. When you want time to get shorter? Unlike you, I've got plans to fulfill. Isn't passing college the only plan we got? Ah, my naive friend. College isn't just about passing, it's about grabbing every dick in the book. So, sex. Of course, gotta have a deep connection to survive in this world. Clap. Clap. Thank you. I'll be here from Monday to Friday. Speaking of going deep, what are you talking about? What are you doing? Giving out an applause? For what? John's incredible joke. Bonk. Ow! Yay! I'm charging double for this. Charging for what? It's nothing. Oh, I forgot. I need to be at home for delivery. Aw, so you're not gonna eat with us? Nah, watching my brother getting eaten isn't my thing. Ciao. You hear a slap as Tom grabs his forehead and slides it down his neck. A typical facepalm. Eaten brother thing? Forget what he said. Don't let him ruin our dinner. You make it sound like we're on a date. No. Of course not. It's just eating out with a friend. It'd be cute if it was. Oh. Tom picked something up from his bike. It was your old yellow bike helmet. Remember this? My old bike helmet. You forgot to polish it! Tom rolls his eyes while you polish the crown with some spit and rub from your sleeve. How can I rule with such dirty crowns, said Tom. Tom shrugs, taking in the berate as if it was normal conversation. My apologies, Your Majesty. The previous king banished me. Tom jokingly and mockingly replied. You plop the helmet onto your head and look away defiantly. As you have already been informed, the previous king is no more. He walked towards Tom with a regal air, swinging your tail like a cape, putting on a show. You grab onto Tom's shoulders, stand on the bike pegs, back straightened, chin up, and fingers pointed forward. Onward, my loyal steed! Yes, my lord. Tom takes an old familiar road leading to a fork. The right side leads you to the waterfalls, while the left takes you to the mountainside, where the city lights grow brighter each second. The scenery was old and expectant. You've seen this many times before growing up. The only difference is Tom's back shining with it. Being the first time you had touched Tom in years, you couldn't help notice how much he had grown. He was boasting wide, powerful shoulders and a strong, muscular back. You found yourself leaning against him, feeling safe being so close to him. But you quickly snapped out of it when Tom had hit a bump. You okay back there? Tom shouts behind him. You notice the tent in your pant coming dangerously close to poking Tom's butt and inform him of your feelings. Why does Tom have to cycle so fast? He's pedaling like he's coming second in the race, and he's rushing to get first. He's hunched over in an attempt to gain more speed, which just means his ass is that much closer to your crotch. Flustered by your erection, you shift around trying to make it go down. But that only brings suspicion and you can't just press yourself against Tom. So the right choice of action is to lean back, shoving your butt out behind you. Seeing all the cars driving by, you couldn't help feeling a bit embarrassed. Your face was flushed and you couldn't bring yourself to look at Tom. You tried to keep your attention on the scenery, hoping your boner would die down. 10 minutes later. We're here. Being frozen in the awkward yoga-like pose for the whole bike ride, your stiff joints cry out in pain as you similarly cry for Tom to assist you off the bike. Ow. You were tense the whole trip? Kinda. You know, you could just told me to slow down. I forgot the sign to slow down, okay? Lies! You could have just leaned in and told me. Impossible. Whoops, that slipped. Why? Your ass was in the way. Tom is probably imagining the way it looks. He put a thinking pose with a hand on his chin, rubbing it as if he's some sort of philosopher. There was a moment that he smiled but quickly came back to your attention. Guess that would make it have been awkward. That would have been awkward. Yep. So, I just give me a second. Take your time. You do a little joint exercise to loosen up. Tom was very supportive. And by support I mean he's giving you his shoulders to loosen up. After loosening up your joints, Tom takes you into what seems to be a hotel building with more floors than the eyes can see. Along the way to the elevator, something else was loosening up. Oh no. With all the food you ingested today, there's no way it'll sit by. Monday, 5:29 p.m. You finally arrived at a fancy all-you-can-eat restaurant. All sorts of smells were swimming in line to your nose, punching down your current need. Bathroom, now! You do a little dance while Tom asks to click for a location. Your eyes were waiting for a hand to point, and as soon as one did, immediately you hightail to the location. 5 minutes later. Now, where's Tom? Just near the window. The most romantic spot. Heading towards the streetlights blocked by an invisible wall. It didn't take long to find Tom staring outside the glass wall. Wow. Tom's gotten bigger for the past 2 years. I mean, he was always fit. But with that tight outfit, you shudder and gay. So manly. Hi, you're gay. Glad you didn't get lost again. What do you mean by that? I was remembering the time you got lost in the woods. This again. It's a fun memory. How is it a fun memory? I was all alone in the woods for so long. 20 minutes. Why, you watched from behind without telling me. I thought it was a good test of courage. Like you said, I was right behind you supervising. I thought you were a stalking bear. I could have shot you if I had found a gun lying around. Don't laugh. I'm laughing at how absurd it is that you immediately got lost, wandering around while I was taking a piss 10 meters away. Come on, don't spoil the mood with your moop. Moop. I'll look after the seats. You go on first. Tom hands you a porcelain plate. Okay. So many different types of cuisine to choose from. What are you going to get? Well, I don't think the Food choice matters actually, so I'm taking Mexican food because I personally think this has the cutest Tom interaction. Gosh, it's almost like home. Only Mexican. You peer through the selection. There's enchiladas, tacos, fajitas, quesadillas, tortillas, and empanadas in every variety. I'm gonna take a piece of everything. It took too much cheese. Bah, who knows when I have another day here. I'm gonna eat and make it worth it. You pray for your stomach for tomorrow. With a full plate, you head back to your seat where Tom was waiting with his phone. Your turn, Tom. The large feline seems to be busy. Not even the rattler of the table pulls him from his phone. You take a nacho dip and dip it in a heavy amount of cheese. You tap it on Tom's mouth like an ATM machine. He reels it in. You pull away for the cheese to stretch. Tom wraps the string of cheese with his tongue swirling around like a fishing reel. Tom breaks his trance when you giggled, finally acknowledging that he wasn't eating with his own hands. Finish it up, you workaholic! You hold up the last strand of cheese for Tom to finish. Nostalgia hit you softly in the head, remembering the times you share your food with the brothers. Whether hot dogs, or a bag of chips, or a piece of pie, you share whatever they are around. What? Just remembering something? And what's that? Just a certain workaholic? It's me, isn't it? Yep. What did you remember? Remember I was coming over with a pizza for a weekly versus bout? First thing I saw was a skeleton of lying on the table. But that wasn't the most memorable. The most memorable was the skeleton came to life and attacked me like an RPG and took all the pizza. That was the funniest and scariest thing that ever happened in my RPG life. I'm sorry for that. Don't be. We got to play beep, tag, and you left out the crust. I'm sorry. No harm done. I like the crust. Speaking of which, you get your crusts? I'll do that. Look off my jacket, will ya? Will do. Monday, 6:05 p.m. You and Tom enjoyed the evening meal together. You stuffed yourself silly to the point of almost falling into a food coma. Your pride tells you to eat as much as you can for your benefactor's money. Even your benefactor is eating slowly while reading the news on his phone. Phew, I'm stuffed. Maybe you should eat a little slower. But it's so good. Well, there's no time limit besides closing hours, so save it next time. Next time. Yeah. So, how was your first day of college? It's so-so. It's better than high school, that's for sure. No more uniforms, no more sweating in the corner. Teacher's weird though. Tom pauses and ponders. Was he wearing a kimono outfit? A kimono? Those Japanese outfits you see in mangas? Oh, right, yeah, Zim. It's Zale. Zale! He's my homeroom teacher for first year too. A bit weird, but he's a good guy. He wears a ruler on his waist. Guess he's still weird, but he does his best to teach at least. That's what's important. He does have a ton of passion for Japan. Hopefully he teaches the right history for the exams. Good luck. How about your classmates? Anyone interesting? None really, just me and John. I see. Well, there's plenty more opportunities to make some friends. Or enemies. That too, but you got me. And John to back you up. I do. Speaking of which, how was your first year of college? It was, boring. Had to juggle between school and work. You should count yourself blessed, not having to work for college. Hey, if I had my way, I'd spend it on their vacation. They just insist since they saved up for it, and told me that it's the only way to get a job. I'd call BS, but saying BS to your parents is, you know. Maybe you should. That way you'll know how hard they work for you. Maybe I will. After you graduate. Huh. Just take whatever advantage you have in this race of life. Speaking of race, John showed me a video of you doing the something YAR, the RFYAR program, the Regional First Year Academy race. Yeah, it was fun seeing you in the video. Oh, how was it? You were so cool. I had to cast it on my parents' widescreen to see it in detail. Here, what's cast? Oh, it's a thing where you plug a device onto the back of the TV and so you can stream your photos and videos from your phone. That's pretty cool. Not as cool as you. Dashed through the finish line all the way from behind. I couldn't contain myself seeing you weave through the small gaps. Well, why did you stay behind 90% of the race? It's to save stamina. You're probably thinking, why not stay in first place, right? Yeah. I don't blame you. It's logical from your perspective, but to cyclists, it's a waste of energy. Why is that? Wind resistance. Does it matter? In an hour-long race, yes. What I'm doing is called slipstreaming. Basically, I use the person in front of me to break the resistance for me. Therefore, I'd only have to pedal less energy than he does. It sounds like cheating. Like I said, take whatever advantage in the criterium. Criterium. It's what we call the race during the RFYAR. You lost me there. Let me explain about the RFYAR. First, it stands for Regional First Year Academy Race. Basically, all of the first years who attend competitive sports will compete against other schools in the region. Second years will be under RSYAR, which I'll be attending this year. Now, for Criterium, it's basically a short race around the city. It can be in laps or a course. Last year was a course, and it took an hour to finish. Okay. I'm surprised you watched it. Only when you're on. Skipped most of it though, since they kept showing the fancy albino tiger. He's cool now, but I don't know him enough to care. That's probably Jovur. He's sponsored by Nyings. Nyings. How much does Nyings underwear cost compared to Bridals? What? I'm running out of underwear and I need new ones. I typically don't like wearing underwear, but Bridals is the only brand I'm comfortable with wearing. Are you not wearing? Of course I'm wearing underwear right now. I just don't like wearing them at home because it's too hot. Do you have no shame at all? If it's just you and John? Nope. I should have known. We're practically brothers, so why not? This is getting so awkward. Yeah, don't call him brother, because he loves you, and I love him, and Jace loves him too. So yeah, that would be kinda awkward. Fine. Oddly enough, I know the price for jock straps. If you buy one Nyings jockstrap of the same material, you get 1.5 of Bridals. Why is Nyings so expensive? Does it have some sort of high-tech elastic band? This is just between you and me, okay? Okay. Both jockstraps are made by the same manufacturer abroad. What? Is that illegal? Very much so. Reselling and rebranding is as common as buying the same apple of the same farm in different supermarkets. That's just skeezy. That's capitalism. Gah. Now this puts a bad taste in my mouth. So relatable. Maybe wash it down with some ice cream. I'll do that. You ran off to the ice cream station to drown your disappointment of the world with sugar. Tom takes you home on his bike. Upon reaching the first quarter of the bridge, you forgot to mention something. Oh, take the left after the exit. You shout out. Tom slowed down as he turned his head towards you. Why? Is there somewhere else you want to go? He shouts back. No, I moved. My parents kicked me out to work at their apartment building. There was a moment of silence as Tom slowly moved his head forward. What about your sisters? They went abroad. Already? No wonder things got quiet. Yeah, but I'm left to that dirt, and I'm left to do the dirty work. It's not a bad trade. You got a place of your own and don't have to pay rent. Sure, but it gets lonely at times. Tom stutters. John and I could come visit if you like. That'd be great. I'd love that. Huh. I haven't been here since I was 17. Wonder what we were doing at the time. No clue. Guess we'll never know. Wanna come in? Maybe it was from some water. Coming right up. Oh, fuck. Eh. Just look around at something. I'll go get you the water. Alright. Hey, let's do a housewarming party. Tom shouted out from the living room. A housewarming? Yeah, hanging out, play some games, eat something. We can do just that. We can just do that every time you and John visit. You hand Tom the glass of water. Thanks. Tom gulps down the whole cup with a satisfying sigh. I know, but it'd be great to excuse to celebrate over our little reunion. Reunion? Yeah, for being ignored for 2 years. Uh-huh. Right. Damn, just messing with ya. He playfully slaps your back. I mean, it's not your fault or mine that we ended up like this. He's likely referring to your dad. Yeah, let's do it. Great. We're talking about the housewarming tomorrow at lunch. He paused, swilling whatever water was left in the glass. It's getting late. I better leave before the crickets get any louder. Okay. Laters. Time moved slowly as Tom reached for the door. It was as if your body is telling you to say, Tom, wait. What? You slam your head onto Tom's chest, hiding your face for what you are about to say. What's all this? I want to say, yeah. To say that I'm. It all came naturally. So, tears started bursting uncontrollably. You opened your mouth to try and tell him how you felt, but all that came out was a soft murmur resembling a meow. Meow. You tried again, this time breathing heavily and sniffling, tears streaming down your face. Is it hard to say it? Is it difficult to admit it? No. Your body language was more than enough to show Tom how sorry you are. All you could do was pull him closer, letting your body speak for you. You were surprised when you felt his hand stroking your hair gently, caressing your ear, trembling under his soft touch. You hear him let out deep content sigh as he continues stroking your head. Shh, it's okay. It's alright, Zenri. Tom stayed for a few more minutes while you calmed down. For what felt like hours, you clung onto him, letting all the tears run down. You felt his touch again, stroking your hair. You didn't know how much you missed him until this very moment. You wished you could stay like this forever. This fleeting moment of being with someone you've trusted so much in your life. As the tears ran dry, you gave Tom an assuring smile that you were alright. You smiled back with a sparkle in his eyes, rolling down his cheeks. He takes another moment until he pushes your head down for a good burning head rub. Then he takes leave. Then he takes his leave. But not before saying something. Okay. So I think this is a good place to end it. Yeah, thank you for whoever's watching it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.